Hey, what's up, guys? Siddharth here with another video, and in this video, I'll be looking at the brand new iPad 7th generation model. And this iPad got launched a couple of months ago, and I just got mine. This is one of the best iPads, in my opinion, if you consider its price. It got released at an official price of $330, but there were some crazy deals this Cyber Monday, and I was able to grab one of these at $230 from iPad. The lowest price I saw was at Micro Center for $310, and since there's no Micro Center near me, I had to buy it from Target. This iPad comes in two different storage capacities, 32 GB and 64 GB, and it has the Wi-Fi or the cellular version. Depending on usage, you may select either of the storage or the cellular one. Um, I think you should I think you should just use a hotspot on your phone that instead of paying about $130 extra for the cellular version. So let's get started unboxing this new iPad and see what all we got inside the box. As with all other Apple products, the box feels pretty premium. It's a little hard to get this iPad out, but let's see. The first thing we see in the box is the iPad. Let's keep this aside for a second while we look at what else is in the box. Lightning cable and I think Apple should have gone with USB-C port instead of the Lightning, as it's easier to find a USB hub and pen drives as they're also cheaper than Lightning hubs. Then we have some information and getting started guides, and probably there would be some stickers inside. There is the Apple sticker inside the box. Let's keep this aside. Um, um, the next thing we see is the wall charger that charges your iPad at 12 watt. I don't think the Apple iPad 7th edition supports 18 watt quick charge, um, but please let me know in the comments if it does. So there's nothing else in the box. As you can see, it's pretty minimalistic design, which I like. There's not a lot of extra useless things that Apple keeps in the box. So let's get back to the iPad. This is the gold version of the iPad. It comes in three different colors: gold, silver, and space gray. I also have the space gray. So let me put them side by side so that you can know how they both look. I personally like the space gray version, but let me put this aside for a second till we look at the new iPad that we are unboxing. It actually feels just about right in the hand. It might be little on the heavier side, and it's a little bit thicker than the iPad Air, but it's a lot cheaper, so I'll take it. The iPad Air is like $170 extra. So as you can see, it has a Lightning port and not the USB-C port as in the Pro models. Uh, on the right side, it has the volume buttons, and on the top, it has the 3.5mm headphone jack and the power button. On the left side, you can see it has the smart connector, which can be used to connect it to Apple Smart Keyboard, which is a great keyboard, but considering that it costs about around 70% of the cost of this iPad at $160, I would definitely not recommend buying it. The main reason anyone would buy this iPad would be if you are on a budget and buying a keyboard that costs 70% of its price wouldn't make sense to me. One other good alternative to the Apple Smart Keyboard is the Logitech Slim Folio keyboard, but again that costs around $100. So if you want to get it in a if you get it in a good deal around 50 to 60, consider buying it. Otherwise, use it without the keyboard or buy a cheap one from Amazon. On the front, we have a 10.2 inch Retina display, has a resolution of 2160 by 1620 pixels at a pixel density of 264 pixels per inch, which is really good. It's not the best in the iPad, but it's, in my opinion, you don't really feel the difference. Um, so it has the Apple Touch ID on the front, um, and not the Face ID, and that comes with the Pro models and the latest iPhones. It is powered by the A10 chip, which is not the latest as the other iPad models come with A12 chips, but even with the A10 chip, we would see this iPad performing really well, and there's no lag in normal usage. I've been using my Space Gray version of the iPad for a couple of days now, and I don't feel any lag browsing websites, watching YouTube videos, just using for light usage. Camera is a 1.2 megapixel camera with a f2.2 aperture and a Retina flash. It's not a good camera at all. It won't be good for taking selfies, but it would do just fine for FaceTime. Back has a 8 megapixel camera with f2.4 aperture. It is a good camera, but not the best compared to the iPhones. I mean, you won't be using iPad for taking pictures much anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Um, as you can see on the sides, it has like huge bezels, which I don't like at all. But then again, considering its price, it's still a great purchase. So let's turn this on and see what all we have inside. And so as you can see, it's running on iPad OS 13.3. I think when it came out of the box, it was running 13.2, and I updated it. So the best thing about the iPad OS is so the iPad OS is a huge improvement over the previous OS, as it makes the iPad a lot closer to being a replacement for the laptop. It has added ton of features, which makes multitasking a lot easier. Um, so, for example, if you want to browse something on Safari and also want to open some other app. So for this example, let's just use Google. You can put them on the side, and you can arrange them, and you can use both the apps simultaneously. And you can also have a third app. Just swipe up from the right, and you can place it anywhere on the screen, and you can use all the three apps. You can also arrange it next to each other. So if you look closely around the edges of the display, you would notice that the display is actually under the glass. The more recent models, the Pro models and the iPad Air models have a laminated display in which you would feel you're interacting with the screen directly instead of a glass on top of it. One difference between the iPad and the iPad Air is that iPad Air has two-tone display, which measures the ambient light, color, and brightness. The device then uses this information to automatically adjust the display, so it can correct the white point and the illumination based on your environmental lighting in order to render the right kinds of white and under any conditions. So this doesn't have true tone display, but my iPhone 11 does. So in this example, I'll just be showing you the difference between the true tone display and not between true tone display and having a normal screen. So as you can see in the Apple devices that do support true tone display, you can turn it off and on. So I'll be just turning it on and off so that you can know the difference. So this is the display with the true tone display on, and if I turn it off, you can see it's like slightly different, not too much. Uh, from what I see is, when I turn on the true tone display, it is a more colder color. It's like a more bluish color, and without the true tone display, it's more white. Um, I personally feel that it looks a little better without the true tone display, but that might be just in this light. and a store near my house to put both the iPads next to each other to measure the difference. I personally like the iPad Air. I personally like the iPad's display compared to iPad Airs. I mean, again, in iPad Air you can just turn off the two-tone display, which comes turned on by default, and it would look the same. This might be because of the particular lighting in the store. I asked the guy who worked there in the store, and he said that even he likes the display without a two-tone display on, and always keeps it off in his devices. Other than that, the iPad Air has a better front-facing camera, but again, you would really be using this to take selfies with an iPad. So overall, I think this iPad is one of the best iPad considering its price, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is on a budget. The only reason I think you should not go with this is um, and you should go with buying an iPad Air is if you want a better processor. So as we know, this comes with a A10 chip, and the Apple iPad Air comes with an A12 chip, which is a lot better than A10, and will be good for use for the next 5-6 years easily. While this iPad might feel a little outdated in like 2 to 3 years. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos, and also leave a comment if you have any feedback or want to know something specific about this iPad.